Peace, peace, peace. What it is, it's your brother Tavon Sueno, aka the Orthodox Moor. Um, Real quick, I want to comment on a couple of things going on in the UK, particularly surrounding Brother Surah. I want to make it clear that as a Muslim, that I back Surah's right to criticize Islam as long as his critiques are non-violent, as long as his calls are non-violent. I want to be clear that as a Muslim, I'm obligated to do such via the Quran, via Surah 4, Ayat 135. It calls me to stand for justice even against myself. And if I don't, that Allah is well acquainted with what I do. So in that spirit, I want to be clear. When people are wanting to critique my brother Surah and go at my brother Surah as an individual, that's a dangerous thing, because some people can take that wrong. I don't combat Surah as an individual. I combat his ideology. As an individual, he's not dangerous to me. As an individual, he's not shown that he's trying to harm me or my kind. I haven't seen him call for violence against Muslims. I've seen him harshly critique Islam, savagely critique Islam. And I'm cool with all of that. Because my Quran stipulates that if we can't agree on certain things, that unto him is his way and unto me is mine. I have zero issue with Surah critiquing Islam. As a matter of fact, I keep telling people that Surah Garvey has a benefit that he plays in the community based upon his level of critique, because it makes those who are insincere have to confront their insincerity, and it makes those who are sincere even more sincere about what they believe. So with that being said, I'm going to play a quick clip that breaks down what I was saying. I was talking to Brother Ultra Funky on a Sister Not Ether's channel a couple of days ago. I didn't know if I was going to put this up or not, but it's necessary. I'm definitely going to put this up because I want to put this out there to all the Muslims and whatnot. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the sake of the Prophet and for the sake of everything that you love in Islam, hands off Surah Garvey. Anybody who deals with Surah Garvey in a physical confrontation is not going about things that the way that the Quran would prescribe that we do, and not going about things the way that the Prophet ﷺ would prescribe that we do, even if you rock with the Hadith, Sunni or Shia Hadith. So I'm just saying, recognize that the man is not that big of a threat. And even though some people in my community who are of African descent talk about Surah as if he's something other than what he's not that big of a threat. Not that many people follow him. There will always be more people who follow the one God or a God than there are going to be of people like Surah Garvey. So I'm telling y'all that so that y'all don't view him as a threat. He's not a threat. He's just a man with an ideology. He's not a physical threat to nobody, and please don't treat him like such. Again, despite what you hear from anybody who looks like me in the African descent community talking against my brother Surah at Speaker's Corner, elsewhere, he's not the quote unquote big man that y'all are used to in certain cultures. You feel me? He's not that guy. So I want to be clear. There's nothing that he's saying that's worth his life. There's nothing that he's saying that's worth any of his blood. There's nothing that he's saying that's worth any harm coming to him. And again, as a Muslim, as long as he's not calling for any violence upon Muslims, I'm obligated to stand for his right to free speech in this matter. I'm obligated to that via the Quran. And if I don't do so, Allah is well acquainted with it. So again, one more time, I'm like, based upon that, I'm gonna break down something I said. I'm just gonna share a video and show something I said with in conversation with a couple of brothers in the UK and whatnot, because I feel like I said it pretty good there, and I don't want to have to keep rehashing everything. But yeah, without further ado. Hey, real quick.
Is my mic working?
Who's that? Is that Brother Moor?
Yeah, I'm on the mic for real. What's
yes,
Brother Moor, can you hear me? Or is my mic fucked?
Yes, sir, we hear you.
We
All right.
Hey, real quick, I want to say something in defense of Surah as a Muslim, right? I've said time and time again on panels, with Surah and without Surah. I've said to him on the panel, like I think his perspective is very necessary within our community, in the sense to where anybody who practices a religion, like I said this on the panel with him, that we practice an anthropomorphized version of the truth, and because it's anthropomorphized, it can be off somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's not the perfect truth and whatnot. So we need people like Surah to call people out when they get too zealot like on their beliefs, too zealous on their beliefs and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So I have absolutely no issue with Surah critiquing Islam in any way, shape, or form. And as a Muslim, I actually agree with a lot of his critiques and whatnot, because Surah's been attacked a lot by Muslims, and particularly like Salafi Sunnis and whatnot. And I've been attacked by the same Salafi Sunnis person. You know what I'm saying? So I can't.
That's why I would say that obviously Surah has a negative view. You know what I'm saying? And like obviously it's like specific Muslims from a specific background. You know what I'm saying? So like for example, like I used to come from a Salafi background, so I know that these men are like hardcore. You know what I mean? Or you're only allowed to stick with this, or then they are allowed to stick with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them ones where the guy literally got heat from negative people. If he got, like for example, if he talked to positive people, it would have been a positive thing at first. But because it was certain specific negative people who clearly have no knowledge and just talk shit, that's why I think he has like negative views. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, I've not got nothing against Surah. So for me, I just say like Surah does this thing and I do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't judge a man based on things that has happened. You know what I'm saying? He knows himself.
Exactly. There was threats made on the man's life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a serious deal.
For example, if I see ADD wrong, right, I'm not gonna slander her. I'm not gonna say anything to her, because it is orthodox knowing. Yeah. If I say anything about any sister, like say for example Sister Nine or like Lady D, I'll get slapped up straight away. I'm not even lying. I'll get slapped up, bro. They'll be like, yo, why are you saying this about me? Why are you saying this? So I'm like, you know what? Let me quiet my voice down. You know what I'm saying? But if Lady D's on, I wanted to tell her something about someone, because the specific you, man, he ain't trustworthy at all. So, but yeah, man, Orthodox more. I see where you're coming from. That like Surah has a lot of negative views, but it's coming from specific people who has given it.
Yeah, and not just that though. So check this out. It came from people he was trying to engage intellectually. So he was at the park for a long time trying to engage people intellectually, like Ali Dawa, etc., whatnot. And when they couldn't refute his argumentation, that they started flipping out and they started getting crazy. Then they're like, y'all remember this whole bit where like people came to the park with actual literal printed up from a mosque, right, about on some anti-Kemet stuff. Y'all remember that, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's some big that was coming from the Salafis, right? Like that wasn't coming from like just any particular group, right? Like they moved on him a particular way. They started running up on all kinds of people like, hey man, y'all want MMA fights, this, that, and the third, wasn't that? That wasn't the Shia man.
Yeah,
that wasn't the Sufi man. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the Quranist man. That was the Salafi. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't even all the Sunni man. That was just the Salafi man.
Orthodox Moor. You know what they do? They don't just pick on non-Muslims. They pick on other Muslims. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, 100%. They're the top period.
Orthodox Moor. You know what they do? You know what they do? If the next man's for example, a Sufi, yeah, and he's just doing his thing, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you something, Orthodox Moor. You know, around my area, yeah, there's a lot of Sufi brothers that I know here. Mm-hmm. Bro, one time, yeah, I was walking, I was with my cousin. Next thing you know, I see one of my Sufi friends getting confronted by some Salafi man, yeah, and he was like shaking. He was like, "What the fuck is this going on?" So I had to go up to them and say, "Listen, leave the guy alone, bro." And they go, "Oh, this guy's I'm like, "Listen, shall I get my cousin to slap you up or something? Go away from him, innit?" And this is what these Salafis do. They pick up, yeah, weak Muslims from different schools of thought within our faith, and they pick up on us. They make the fear not only on non-Muslims, but they make the fear on Sufi Muslims, Shia Muslims, Garvey'S Muslims, Deobandi Muslims also.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, brother Orthodox Moor. Listen to this. Let me ask you a question, my brother. Big up yourself, by the way. Now, Surah Garvey, yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. In my subjective opinion, right, he's a flawed character, right? When I mean flawed, I mean he's not perfect, right? And obviously, I actually reject the notion of perfection.
Yeah, welcome to
humanity. Outright. Yeah. We're all fucking broken. We've all got flaws, right?
And that's why steel got to start sharpening steel. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why we got to be our brothers' keepers. But go ahead.
This is what I'm saying. Now, I don't agree with his total ban on working with Muslims. I don't personally agree with that. And I've told my brother Sarah, boy, like I asked Melanie, I literally said, I think yesterday to Sarah live, boy, like if you're going to work with Muslims, I say you start with the Orthodox Moor and Scattered Minds. I mean, two of the most brilliant and well-balanced Muslims I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, right? But because he's had he's had an experience that's left him with an extremely bad taste in his mouth. I can't think of the phrase, right? So I understand it.
No, you good. Check this out, man. Anytime you got children, right, and you get your life threatened by a group of people, like I don't got time to sit there and be like, oh, are you Sunni? Are you Shia? Are you like, no, okay, you're Muslim, stay over there right quick. You know what I'm saying? Because my wife and kid just got, you know what I'm saying, threatened because I was trying to have an intellectual conversation with y'all, and y'all couldn't deal with the fact that I would refute you based upon the information you brought to me. Like, that's craziness. Like I don't like so. Like when me and Sarah sat down in July of 2018 on the panel show Black Eyes TV7, right? And at that time, that's when he was saying he wouldn't work with me based upon me being a Muslim. Before that, like it was, I heard him talk about anti-Abrahamic concept, right? Like just on the blanket stuff. But after the beef of the park, like I can't knock him for being like not for saying I won't work with you based upon you being Muslim. At that juncture, it's incumbent upon me to have the intellectual conversations with him that the other men were having, to try to actually build a bridge. And so for me, like I'm trying to have a long-term game with my man. Right? Like again, like I disagree with some of his stances on Islam. I agree with a lot of them. Right? And one of the things I disagree on is on his concept that Islam is not African. Right? There's a conversation I would love to have with them, breaking down an African form of Islam that's different than the forms of Islam that attack him. You know what I'm saying? And trying to give an understanding to that and let them know that like that kind of Islam isn't going to be disadvantageous to them. And try to break down to him on a long-term basis that being against people of African descent who are Muslim and would work with him is not going to be long-term beneficial to our community. But in the short term, I can't knock any kind of visceral response he has to Islam based upon what he's been through. I understand his concept with religion and where he comes from with that. That's a whole nother conversation. We can debate that all day, but the stuff with Islam, like my Salafi Muslim brothers have obligated me, and I'm not saying like all Salafis are on this type of stuff, because I know some really good Salafis. You know what I'm saying, like that people who actually sincerely believe following the ways of the Salaf is the best way to go. However, I would dispute their understanding of that concept, but they're sincere in what they believe. I rock with that. But there's a lot of people who take it to an extreme, right? And these cats that took it to an extreme, they weren't always at the park. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been watching the park for a long time. You got different people who are Sunni out there, like people like Shabir, right? Who move a completely different way than these Salafi cats that are on this new Dawa media stuff. You know what I'm saying? This whole new Dawa crew stuff, where like it's just they move different. It's politics. It's not sincerity and religion. And again, you saw that with how they move with Surah. Because Surah, again, you see him just talking to people. He's just talking to people. And then like you can watch him talking with Ali Dawa to start off with, right? He's having a couple of good conversations here and there, and then Ali Dawa says some stuff about he believes that Muhammad flew to heaven on a horse, all this kind of stuff, right? Split the finger with his movie, like literally, right? And then it starts to go south from there because he can't defend what he's saying. You know what I'm saying, on a scientific basis or on anything other than, oh, you just believe it and you can't prove it. And all Surah needs is to hear you say, like, yeah, I believe it, I just can't prove it. But people don't want to be real about it, right? And instead of dealing with their lack of confidence, they want to project it onto Surah. Sarah's confident with what he believes. He never had issue breaking down, like, okay, I believe energy concept, that everything is energy, etc., etc., etc. I believe I can talk to my ancestors, etc. Like, he had no issue with that. He felt like there was no reason to argue that because that was his belief. You know what I'm saying? I thought it funny that no one ever caught that he was just there just talking to people because y'all would talk about your beliefs. And he's like, cool, let's just talk it up. I had mad respect to that, as a matter of fact. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even knock his concepts about not working with certain people because even the African Muslims he was dealing with weren't bringing him like some peace and whatnot. Like, so I hear Rosbeck talking about like Malcolm X and whatnot. I didn't see a Malcolm X Muslim run up on Sarah yet. Do you know what I'm saying? I saw a whole different kind of cat. Like, so when you actually go see what was up with Malcolm X, you see that at one point in time he actually turned down money from Saudi Arabia because they wanted him to go push the Salafi Sunnis. He said, nah, I'm cool. Y'all can keep that bag of money. I'm going to go do my thing over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to teach my people their history and their culture. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, I reiterate, a lot of people who most of the African descent people who run up on Sarah are going to be Sunni and or South. There's a very few Shia, very few Sufi, very few Quranists that run up at the park. But check this out, right? So there's a Quranist at the park. Y'all know Ahmed, right? Somali Pirate. You know what I'm saying? Like, or not Somali Pirate, Somali Maverick, right? My man is Quranist now, largely because of a conversation he had with Sarah. So where he used to be a Sunni, right? Salafi Sunni, right? And got confronted on some stuff about the Hadith. And he didn't leave Islam. He took Sarah's critiques and was like, let me go check this out. Like, he got more sincere about his belief in Islam. That's largely due to a confrontation he had with Sarah. That's the benefit his critiques have to the community. To a sincere individual, they'll make you more sincere. So I want my people like Rosbeck and whatever to have like these slow conversations with Sarah and recognize that he has a legitimate argument and a legitimate place from which he's arguing them from, his experience. And it doesn't have to be an emotional conversation because he didn't start this thing off with an emotional conversation. Again, this whole thing started off with an intellectual conversation that certain religious people couldn't handle. And took it to the point where people's lives had to get threatened. You can't ever, like, you can talk about Tommy Robinson, this, that, and the third. And let me speak on that right quick, too. Like, so I don't agree with all of Sarah's defenses of Tommy Robinson, but let's get one thing straight. So when Sarah says that Tommy Robinson isn't seen as far right by the far right people, he's 100% correct because the far right people are ethno-nationalists. Tommy Robinson is civic nationalists. Go check out the difference. They disrespect that concept. In his civic nationalism, he's okay with black people getting certain rights. Ethno-nationalism wants a complete separation thereof and talks about this like lower IQ concept of it. So let's be real about this stuff and not push some false narratives on something. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can get into the thick of that with whoever, but let's sit down and have this slow conversation because we are family. Like, throwing bombs on each other is what the oppressors and enemies want us to do on each other. There's no reason for it. Like, go back to Haiti right quick. People want to talk about it was an EFA revolution, voted, doing etc. Yes, no, y'all had Muslims there too. Like, it was all of us working together to overthrow the oppressor. That's the only way it ever works for us to get any kind of respect, freedom, liberation, anything, is for us to put down our swords, knives against each other and work together. So if I'm saying I love Sarah like a brother, I understand his concept. I understand his perspective. I disagree. But because he's my brother, I'm going to have the intellectual conversation. I might throw some banter at him here and there. He's going to throw some back at me. Cool. That's what family does. But at the same point in time, I'm not going to let nobody straight attack him on some craziness either. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's family still. I can attack him. Y'all can't attack him if he ain't family. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different concept. Like, so I'm going to beseech people like Roscoe, have the calm conversation. Like it's not a good look. Like, so for the people that you're talking about, like the far right people, they look at y'all going back at each other, right? Like when y'all was like, when we couldn't have the calm conversation on the previous stream, they was looking back, laughing their ass off. Laughing their ass off. You want to tell me they weren't? I'll call everybody along. I'm saying it's going to take unity takes all of us. That's how that works. That's how, like, none of us are perfect. We're all broken blades, but that's why it takes steel to sharpen steel. Like, so if Prospect has an understanding of Islam from having been in Gambia, etc., cool. Let's have that slow conversation and show people like Sarah the beauty of an African Islam. If he can't see that, cool. Maybe there's something else he can see. But the emotional part gotta go, because again, that's the part that gets their lives served for no reason. And we're talking about intellectual stuff. Sarah not liking Islam is not going to make me lose any kind of sleep or injure me in any way, shape, or form. Now, if Sarah's doing something like trying to get me off a panel, like in a public situation, like we're gonna meet and be on a public panel, like that. If that happened, that's a cold peach. Right? But at the same point in time, I can understand certain things if he feels like the conversation is going to be at a certain tone he don't want it to be at, because he's been in situations where when it got turned up too much, people's lives got threatened. I can't not understand his experience. I can't not walk him on his shoes and be like, you know what, I got you, bro. I feel that. That's why it's got to be a slow conversation. I'm actually happy people like Kalam showed back up, so we can actually have we might have some platforms for this slow conversation. You might be able to have some builds with like COE and Shakira and all kind of people where it's a slow build. But if we're family, we deserve that slow conversation. We deserve to love each other enough to recognize we're probably going to have to disagree on the outset of a couple of things here and there. But whatever we agree on, we should be able to move forward. And it's repugnant that we don't do that. We got children looking at us. Man, we got people stabbing each other up, shooting each other, bribing each other, all kind of stuff, right? Because we're not setting the example of what unity should look like. That's our fault. That ain't no one else's fault but ours right now. We can talk about all kinds of stuff from outside communities and whatnot, but what are we doing to show our children something different? We're arguing on YouTube right now? That's what we're doing? Again, as a Muslim, it's part of my Quran, right? For me to stand up against anything that's unjust, even if it's against myself and my family. So I stand up for Sarah's right to have his opinion on Islam. That's justice. That's just and right. He can have whatever opinion he wants because he's not harming me as a Muslim. He's just talking. He's not physically doing anything to me. Any Muslim doing anything, like again, they try to do something physical to him for talking. We can't ever, we as brothers and sisters of Sarah can't ever forget that. Can't ever forget that. So I'm saying to all my Muslim brothers, right? And to all my Abrahamic brothers and whatnot, let's take a half step back right quick and have a slow conversation with each other. Because that's what we want him to do with us anyway. When we talk with him, we don't like the fact that we feel like he runs off or etc. He might have, like to us, it might look like running. for him, he might be avoiding a sticky situation that could be leading to, again, somebody's life getting great. That might be how he deals with it. He might be running, who knows? Either or, the slow conversation negates all. And that's all I'm saying. With that, I'm bowing out. Peace and love, all that, whatever. Big up everybody, big up the chat, big up Nanita always. And big up Sarah for his perspective, man. Yeah. So, real simple, real plain. I may disagree with my brother, but he's still my brother, right? So, on an African descent level, like the Quran stipulates that, for instance, that we were made out of a single pair, out of a single pair of male and female, we were made into many tribes and nations, that we may know each other, right? So, on an African descent level, I'm trying to know my brother Sarah, right? Trying to get his back as a brother, right? On an Islamic level, I'm bound to back his right to free speech, as long as he's not calling for harm. I want to make that very clear. And so again, to all my Muslim brothers out there and to all my Abrahamic brothers out there, I'm saying my advice to all of you is engage him in the arena of ideas. In the arena of ideas. There's nothing about that arena that has to turn into a physical confrontation. There's nothing about what Sarah's trying to do or said he's trying to do that's going to be a physical harm to any one of us. So I beg you, please, just engage my brother in the arena of ideas, just like I am. And with that, I say peace and love. Wa alaikum salam. Y'all have a good one.